I love this slide. This might be my favorite slide of all of them. Thank you for having me. I know this is the last session of the day, and I am keeping you from dinner, from family, from drinks, and so hopefully over the course of the next half an hour, we will have a lot of fun. Excuse me. All right. So, my name is Perry Monaco. I am Canadian. If you can't understand me, I apologize. Americans never understand me because of my accent. Canadians speak a little different than our American friends. Hopefully, we can get through all of this together. If you have any questions, obviously, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Over the course of the next half an hour, I want to talk about what Wally wants me to talk about is how you can get leads for your company. And in some platforms and with some social media, that's very easy to do. The idea of getting leads is something that can be very straightforward. But my challenge is that, and I tell this to Wally, is that it's not always easy to just say, how do I get leads on LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is different. There is a much different way of approaching LinkedIn and understanding LinkedIn, understanding who's there, what it is that you're trying to accomplish on LinkedIn. So hopefully over the course of the next half an hour, I'll be able to help you understand how to get more leads from LinkedIn so I make my boss happy. But we can also talk about some of the things that you can do on LinkedIn to get your business to grow and to engage with a different community than perhaps you're engaging with right now. First, I thought I would just remind everyone why LinkedIn is here. Our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. This is what LinkedIn was created to accomplish. That opportunity is important to understand, however, and that's what I want all of you to think about as you're considering engaging with LinkedIn. What is the opportunity you are trying to create? That's not an easy question to answer all the time, because there's so many different things happening in our businesses. And so understanding what the opportunity is that you're trying to create for yourself is such an important thing to understand before you go ahead and engage with LinkedIn. Our mission is to make sure that everyone in the world is connected so that you can be more productive and more successful. That's what we want. Whether that mean in business or with your career or finding different partners or whatever the case may be, we want you to be more successful and more productive. So why is LinkedIn important to you, especially here in Colombia? Let me tell you some stats that ultimately help you understand why LinkedIn is so powerful. Currently today, there are more than 660 million members on LinkedIn globally. There are more than 30 million companies, there's 20 million jobs, 35,000 skills, and over 90,000 schools represented on LinkedIn. The bottom line here is that there is a lot of people on LinkedIn already. And I would argue there's a lot of your competition on LinkedIn already. How do I know that? Well, let's look at some numbers specific to this part of the world. Of the 660 million members on LinkedIn, 95 million of those are in Latin America. The way we define Latin America for LinkedIn is a little bit different, I think, than the rest of the world. North America to LinkedIn is Canada and the United States. We know that this is very wrong. There's probably about, I think, like 43 different countries that are part of North America, but we only look at 2 of them. Everything else we consider to be Latin America. So Mexico South is all Latin America. 95 million members there. 7 million members plus right now in Colombia. And this number is growing very, very fast. Overall, our membership is growing at 2 new members per second. So if you were to think about this talk that I'm giving you now in 30 minutes, there's about 3,500 people that are going to join in the time that I'm on stage, globally. It's very, very fast growth, and we've been seeing that growth for the entire time that I've been part of LinkedIn. Video on LinkedIn is the fastest growing piece of content that our membership is consuming. How many people here have created a video on LinkedIn? Probably not very many because it's very new. How many people here have watched a video on LinkedIn? Yeah, so more people. If you want to engage your audience and you think your audience would receive video in a positive way, as we know, video is very popular on other platforms. It's very new for us. I think part of the reason why it's new for us is that we were very hesitant to understand if the professional environment that we are in would be open to video. And we are understanding that more and more that people like you who are creating video for your customers or for your businesses are becoming very, very successful with it. We're seeing amazing growth in terms of the way in which membership is engaging with content on LinkedIn, but also the way in which all of you are creating content on LinkedIn. So not only are we seeing an increase in the amount of content, but also amazing increase in the amount of times that content is being viewed by those people who are engaging with the LinkedIn network. These are other data points that perhaps you might find interesting. I'm not going to go through them line by line, but ultimately the story here is that there are more people on LinkedIn than ever before, and more people are engaging with LinkedIn as a social media network, as opposed to what I think a lot of people used LinkedIn for a long time ago, which was to find a new job. That certainly still exists on LinkedIn, but we know that approximately 75% of the people who are on LinkedIn today have not looked for a job on LinkedIn in the past month. So that tells us that the vast majority of people who are on LinkedIn are there to network. They are there to connect. They are there to engage with your content, with your businesses. They are there to have people engage with their content and their businesses and use it as a platform to be able to grow their businesses, grow their brand, and understand what's available to them in the marketplace. So I'm going to tell a story about a particular business, and I think how the story relates to how this can be a story that might be very common, but also a story that I think illustrates where it's important for us to think differently. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not here to sell you LinkedIn memberships. I should have said that at the beginning. That's not why I'm here. This is an opportunity for me to educate. If you think LinkedIn could be an opportunity for you to grow your business, that's great. That's fantastic. Let's imagine you have a successful business already, but you want to make it bigger and you want to reach more people. And so you decide the place to do that is at the market. This is a huge market that happens to be in your city, and you decide that it's so big and there are so many people there that you're going to rent space in this market and set up a booth to sell your product. There are so many different types of products at this market. So many different people there, so many different interests, so many different reasons to go to the market. There might be some people there to buy clothes, there might be some people there to buy food, there might be some people there to buy a present for their child or for their family, all sorts of reasons to go to the market. And so you get your spot at the market, and the booth to the left of you is Carlos, and he sells cotton candy. And so his clientele, obviously, is to reach those people who want to eat cotton candy. Carla, on the other side of you, sells hats. And so her primary market are people who want a new hat. And you are stuck in the middle of these two particular people. Both of their businesses are very popular. For you, 3 people visited your booth on day 1. Pretty good for the first day, right? The first person who visited your booth asked you where the washrooms were, where to go to the bathroom. Not a big help. The next person looked like the type of person that normally buys your stuff, but they were really hungry and ultimately went to Carlos's booth to buy some cotton candy. And this other person here was also seemed like your target market, but she was really interested in the hats. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, you had 3 people visit your booth, and not one of them actually engaged with you or your product in the way that you had envisioned. You had painted this picture for yourself that the market was where you needed to be. And so ultimately, this is a story, I think, that is pretty common in businesses. We understand that we need to be where the people are, but we don't always understand where the people are that want to speak with us. We don't always take the time to really, truly understand our audience and how to reach our audience in a way that makes sense. And so some of the ways in which we like to advertise or talk about our business ends up being on web pages that are very, very cluttered. There's lots of noise and activity happening. This is the market. This is that very large market that I just talked about, where there's a whole bunch of different messages happening at the same time, and no one really knows what to listen to. No one really knows where to go. There's also the opportunity for us to advertise in places that are full of fake news or full of fake bots, fake people. And so this isn't super helpful as well. It may look attractive, there may be a lot of activity, but it's not really something that is right for our business. And then we can also advertise in different places online and ultimately get pushed to the side, get pushed to the corner. And it doesn't really help our business there either. Again, these are all things that we've probably tried in the past, but we didn't really truly understand who our audience was and how we can help them by getting in front of them at the right time. And that's really important, right? The idea of getting in front of your customer at the right time. Let's take this particular gentleman here. Perhaps he's your target market. This particular gentleman is who you want to engage with. But maybe you're using the wrong platform. Maybe you're using a more traditional social media platform that encourages people to be social and personal. And so this particular gentleman, again, your primary target, is not interested in the messages you're delivering to him because it's the wrong platform. He's in the wrong space and time to listen to what you're saying to him. He's the right market for you to tap into, but the place and time is wrong. And so it's important for us to make sure that we're considering all of these things as it relates to the way in which we engage our market, the way in which we engage the different people that we want to talk to. Are we reaching them in the right place at the right time? And so ultimately, most marketing campaigns end up doing these 3 things. And this is not a criticism, by the way. This is something that is very common. I have made this mistake many, many times, even though I'm up here presenting myself as the expert and someone who has never made a mistake. Not true. But in marketing, it's very easy for us to get excited about things and to move forward and move quickly as it relates to the different campaigns. And ultimately, we end up doing these 3 things. We end up talking about things in the wrong environment. We end up talking to the wrong audience. And we end up engaging incorrectly. We end up engaging in a way that our target market, our audience, doesn't want to be engaged. And so it's really important for us to try and figure out a way for us to be able to engage the people that we want to engage the right way. The right place, the right people, and the right way. I didn't build these slides. So ultimately, you knew where I was going with this. One thing I would suggest that you consider is leveraging LinkedIn as another tool in your marketing campaign to understand how to find the right professionals in the right way. We know the people who are on LinkedIn in a way that no one else does. Why do we know that? Because you all tell us who you are and what you do. We all build profiles. And so while we keep our member data private, we do not share our member data with any organization external to LinkedIn in a way that compromises the security and the privacy of our members. We can very much do things that other companies can't because we have this massive amount of data. We won't tell you exactly who your target audience is, but we can tell you how many of those people are if you tell us what they look like, and then we can tell you how many there are, and then we can put ads in front of those people. We won't ever give you a list of all of those people. That's what's happened in the past with other organizations. We don't do that. We want to make sure that we maintain that level of trust with our members. That's super important for us to do. And so there's opportunity for you to be able to engage your audience on LinkedIn in a way that perhaps you haven't thought about before. And so ultimately, you have the opportunity to create the right environment, reach the right audience, and have the correct engagement. If your audience are professionals, business to business, if there is an opportunity for you to reach people in a professional environment, then obviously there's a number of different ways that you can go about doing that to be able to reach professionals in the right way. Ultimately, we want to make more money, right? This is very much what we're all here to do. I'm part owner of Microsoft by virtue of the fact that I work for LinkedIn, and so I want the company to make money. I want our marketers to do a great job of appealing to other people. SurveyMonkey, which I understand is a company that does lots of business in Latin America, SurveyMonkey has decided recently to invest all of their lead generation budget into LinkedIn. They have stopped spending in all of the other areas that they used to, and they invest now 100% of the time with LinkedIn. So a big success story. Ultimately, the right environment means all of these things. We want to make sure that we're providing quality ad placements for your business, for your customers, that we're delivering a good user experience. There's professional context. That's really important. The people who are going to LinkedIn today, right now, are going there generally with a different frame of mind than if they're going to Facebook or Twitter or any TikTok or any other type of social media network. There is a different way of approaching that network, and so that could be beneficial to your campaign. There's a level of transparency on our platform, control, brand safety, and then obviously trusted platform. And this is a new study that came out, and actually this was just recently updated, where LinkedIn, for the third year in a row, not just the second, but for the third year in a row, was deemed to be the most trustworthy social media site online. And so this is something that's very important for us. Our CEO talks about this all the time, and something that's very, very important for us as a company. It's in our DNA to make sure that our members are safe. The one thing that is interesting about LinkedIn that I think other people don't understand as well, or maybe is new to them, is the idea of these conversations. There are conversations happening on LinkedIn right now, and there is a way for individuals to engage with a brand that hasn't happened in the past. And so it's really exciting to be able to create a brand presence for yourself on LinkedIn and your company that allows you to engage in conversations in a way that you haven't been able to before. Look how many conversations. So many conversations. All right, so let's get into some thought leadership and some data around the people that you're probably trying to communicate with. What are they thinking about based on what we know? 71% of people use information from LinkedIn to inform their business decisions. And this comes from Nielsen, not us. If we were to publish this study, we'd probably say it's 100%. But Nielsen says that 71% of the people are using LinkedIn to inform a business decision. This is big. This is huge. 57% of the buying journey is completed before a seller is involved. So what this means is, if you think about a very traditional store, more and more people are walking into that store already understanding the product that they want to buy, and maybe they want to touch it and feel it, play with it, before they buy it. But the salesperson isn't required, really, to make the deal. And so the same applies online. More and more people, when they engage with your brand, by the time they're ready to buy or the time that they're ready to engage with you, they've already made the decision that they are going to buy. And so what are you doing as a company to influence that decision-making process before they even get to you, before they start to engage in the sales cycle? There's an enormous opportunity for you as an organization to influence that in a way that you haven't been able to before. I think, 97% of decision makers say that they never respond to cold outreach. I can tell you that I probably receive an email from someone that I don't know telling me that they love my business. They don't say what my business is. I don't think they actually understand what my business is. But they tell me they love my business and that they have a product that can help me solve a problem that they don't even know I have. That's the email. And I can tell you every single time I just delete that email. 36% of sellers' time is actually spent on selling activities. This is really sad. In order for a business to grow, you need to have more customers. You need to acquire more customers. And so we hire people, both in marketing and in sales, to help generate leads and then convert those leads. Imagine spending money on a salesperson when 74% of their time, no, whatever the math is, 64%? 64% of their time is spent doing something other than what I hired them to do. It's very, very scary, but it's the reality. There's a lot of work to be done in order to reach the right people, and a lot of that work is currently being done very, very manually. And 77% of buyers believe that sellers don't actually understand their needs. And that was illustrated by that email that I received. He told me he liked his business, but he didn't demonstrate that he actually knew what my business was. And then he had a product to solve a business problem that he had no business doing, or he had no business saying because he hadn't talked to me. He doesn't know what business problem it is that I need solving, if anything. So ultimately, what I would say, and this is something that you can teach me more about than anyone else, is you have to understand your audience. You have to understand your audience, and you have to communicate to your audience in the right way. And so while there are likely multiple places that you would want to talk to your audience, there's an opportunity perhaps to engage an audience on LinkedIn that you haven't yet considered. The audience on LinkedIn is very different. All of us here probably can illustrate times where we've gone on LinkedIn and we've posted something or read something that is very, very different than what we would see on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of the other social media networks out there. Listen, I engage in virtually all of those networks. I'm not just on LinkedIn. That would be pretty boring. But I know what I'm doing when I'm on LinkedIn versus when I'm on Facebook, or I know what I'm trying to achieve. Facebook, I'm trying to waste time, or I'm trying to learn about an ex-girlfriend, and what is she doing today that maybe I want to know about, or anything else as it relates to the personal aspect of those other networks. So having the right audience, or being able to engage the right audience, is really what you can achieve on LinkedIn. There's a number of different tools that you can use. Some of these are very similar to what you've been using on other networks, and then obviously there's going to be some things on LinkedIn that are very, very unique. Ultimately, I think one of the interesting things that you can do is be able to target people in a way that you can't target on other networks. And so it's really awesome to be able to do that in a way that you just don't have on other networks. There's about 62 million people on LinkedIn that we've identified as business decision makers. And obviously this number is growing pretty substantially every single day. But there's an opportunity here for you to get in front of those people. We've also identified that there's about 45 million people on LinkedIn that are part of an IT buying committee. So if you are working for a company that's in IT or trying to expand your IT business, those individuals are on LinkedIn as well. to be able to reach those individuals, to be able to grow your business from an IT perspective. And then there are 17 million people on LinkedIn that are in small business, that are working to grow small business. And so there's an opportunity for you to tap into that as well. If you have the right engagement strategy on any platform, obviously, if you're smart about the way in which you engage people, we know that you're going to get more return on your investment. And so we see about a doubling of that on LinkedIn. When you engage with the right people in the right place at the right time, we see a 2x response rate in terms of the way in which they engage back with your organization. So we have the opportunity to have higher quality conversations. And then obviously the advent of LinkedIn on mobile is continuing to grow. Right now, about 60% of the traffic on LinkedIn is on mobile, but that's very different in different parts of the world. If you're trying to attract a younger audience, obviously that number is much, much higher. If you are in if you're in Latin America, we know that that is much, much higher. The use of mobile devices is much, much higher here than it is in some other areas of the world. And so you want your engagement strategy to also consider what does it look like on mobile. And so what I advise people to do is every time you come up with something that you want to put online is pull it up on your phone. And how does it look on this screen versus the big screen? Because it's a difference, right? The way in which you consume things matters. And so this is all about the right audience, the right time, and the right place. So we want to make sure that we're engaging with the right people in the right environment, we're engaging with the right audience at the right time, and we're engaging with them in a way that they want to be engaged. Sometimes the best way to be able to do that is to ask the question. I think a lot of time, those of us in this industry, we make a lot of assumptions. You don't have to make as many assumptions as you did in the past when you have access to a lot of the data that's now available. And that's not just a LinkedIn thing. That's certainly something that can happen on a multitude of platforms. But I would challenge you to think about those three things as you move forward and build your engagement strategy. The audience, the environment, and the way in which you're engaging them. You put all three of those things together, and you have a fantastic strategy by which you can grow your business and, Wally, generate more leads. It's up to you to close those leads. One thing I will leave you with before I hand it back to Wally is that I had so much content, and I've been in Colombia a number of times. I love Web Congress. I've been at Web Congress a number of times, and I didn't know where to stop this time. For whatever reason, I had so much information that I wanted to share with you. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning is I'm going to put together a PDF of a number of different slides, some that are here, but mostly things that were not here, and make that available to all of you. Web Congress will email all of you over the course of the next couple of days, and you'll be able to download it. In there will include my contact information. I'm not the right person to talk to if you want to engage with us from a marketing perspective or anything like that. That's my role is in the United States and Canada. But I can help you navigate. I can answer any of the questions that you may have. So while this might be a little bit dangerous for me, I'm going to make sure that my contact information is in there as well so that you can reach out to me if you have any other questions. Now, it's snowing right now in Toronto, where I'm from. I actually took off in a snowstorm. And I have 3 children, 10, 7, and 5. And I travel a lot for work, and I miss them very, very much. And my wife always doesn't understand why I come to Colombia. It's very, I said all my business is in the United States and Canada, and she always asks me, well, why do you go to Colombia? That seems very, very odd, as though I don't think you're actually going there for work. I think you're going there to enjoy the other things that Colombia has to offer. And so I need you to help me prove that I did what I just did. So I'm going to take a selfie. I already took a picture of myself with the big face up on the screen. I'm going to take a selfie of myself with all of you in the audience, and I will share that with my family so they know that I actually came here. So, you look beautiful, people. You look gorgeous. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.